Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert, and I'm really pleased to welcome all students of Europe Hotel School to your online learning journey. In the world of hotel sales, there's this one moment, it can make even the most seasoned pro's heart skip a beat. Today, we're going to dive deep into that moment. And more importantly, we're going to show you how to flip it from something you fear into your biggest advantage.
All right, so what is it? What's that one thing a client can say that just feels like running into a brick wall? You know, the one thing that most of us in hospitality sales, well, we kind of dread hearing.
You guessed it, the objection. We've all heard it, right? Your price is too high, or I'm just not sure you can handle an event our size. But stick with me, because in this session, we are going to completely flip the script on how you think about this. We're going to turn that moment of fear into your greatest strategic weapon.
Okay, first things first. This all starts in your head. It's about a mental shift, a reframe. We need to stop seeing objections as roadblocks and start seeing them for what they really are, opportunities.
This right here. This really gets to the core of it. See, an objection isn't a no. Not at all. It's actually an invitation. It's the client telling you, hey, I'm paying attention, I'm thinking about this seriously, but I need a little more from you. That's your cue. That's your opening to build that trust.
You know, think about it. What's worse than an objection? Silence. Crickets. An objection means the client is engaged. They're actually evaluating what you've offered. It shows they're taking this seriously. And honestly, it's your moment to shine. It's where you get to show off your expertise and really drive home the value you bring. It's the start of a conversation, not the end of the road.
Okay, so we've got the right mindset. That's step one. But how do we actually do this in the moment? Well, it all starts with what you do, and just as importantly, what you don't do, in those first critical seconds after you hear the objection. Look, your first instinct is probably going to be to jump in and defend, right? To argue your point. You have to fight that urge. Seriously. Just follow this simple protocol. First, just listen. Don't interrupt. Let them get it all out. Then, when they're done, you acknowledge what they said. Something as simple as, I can see why that's a concern for you. That one little sentence changes everything. It lowers the defenses and shows you're on their side. All right, you've listened, you've shown respect, the tone is right. Now, it's time to put on your detective hat. Because your real job here is to figure out what's really going on. You've got to dig deeper than the words they're saying to find out the real why behind their concern.
And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A client might say, your price is too high. But what they might actually mean is, I'm not sure how I'm going to get this past my boss. Or they might question your service capacity, when the real issue is that they got burned by another venue in the past. Your job is to ask those smart, open-ended questions to get to the real problem, because that's the one you need to solve.
And as you're doing this, your emotional intelligence is, without a doubt, your most important tool. Remember, your client is probably under a lot of pressure, so you have to stay calm, stay empathetic. You're not there to win an argument. You're there to solve a problem with them. You're a partner in this, not an adversary.
So, let's recap. You've listened, you've acknowledged the concern, and you've figured out the real issue. Now, finally, it's time to respond. And this is where all your prep work and your professionalism really pay off.
I want you to think of these 4 things as your professional toolkit. You can't just make this up on the spot. A really solid, convincing response is always going to be built on these 4 pillars: thorough preparation, real evidence, genuine confidence, and complete transparency.
Let's zoom in on credible evidence for a second. This is huge. It's not about you saying you're great, it's about you proving it. Think about it from the client's perspective. They're putting a big event, a big budget, in your hands. Their biggest fear is making the wrong choice, the risk. Your evidence, things like case studies, great testimonials, data from past clients, that's what makes them feel safe. That's what builds their confidence.
Okay, so for example, let's say a client is worried about your service quality. You could just say, oh, don't worry, our service is fantastic. Or you could show them something like this and say, I understand your concern. That's actually why we survey every corporate client after their event. Last quarter, our average satisfaction score was over 94%. Here are the results from 3 companies just like yours. See the difference? It's not even a contest, is it?
But of course, having great data like that only works if you're prepared. You have to know the common objections backwards and forwards. You need to be the absolute expert on your hotel, the pricing, the logistics, the fine print. When you have that knowledge at your fingertips, you can answer anything calmly and accurately, and that just skyrockets your credibility.
Okay, Let's pull all these threads together. When you change your mindset and you follow these steps, you're not just handling an objection. You are fundamentally changing the entire conversation and, ultimately, the entire relationship with your client.
This is the big shift we're aiming for. It's not a battle. It's not a negotiation you have to win. It's collaborative problem solving. Your goal is to work with the client, together, to find the absolute best solution. That's how you go from being an opponent to being a partner.
And believe me, this moment is absolutely crucial. So often, the point where you handle an objection with real professionalism and respect, that becomes the turning point in the whole deal. It's the moment the client stops seeing you as just another salesperson and starts seeing you as a trusted advisor. That is the moment you win the business.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The next time you hear an objection, I want you to pause. Instead of feeling that flash of fear, I want you to feel opportunity. An opportunity to listen, to understand, to build real trust, and prove your value. The only question left is, how are you going to seize it?